Nope. Glasses worked. Actually got the eyeball tracking working on the damn thing, which is nice. Anyway. Hello! I also think I improved the bloody reading of when I'm talking. But anyway, back to the trial. Not the trials, over the investigation again. My mind's all over the place right now.
You know, I'm glad we found the urn and all, but poor Mr. Delight got arrested again.
Well, supposedly Mr. Delight was in the CEO's office when the murder occurred.
No way, Jose. I don't buy it. The one who proved that Mr. Delight was there was Mr. Nick himself. At least from what I can understand. Looks like you did too good of a job this time, Nick.
Well, how about we get started looking into the KB security murder?
I think I'm going to head back to Karain Village for a little while, if that's alright.
Sure, but why?
I'm going to bring the sacred urn back and have some people take a look at it. Oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll go with... No, Mystic Maya, you should stay here. I want you two to spend some special quality time together, full of love and happiness.
This is so caught up in her fantasy. She forgot there's a murder to solve.
Now remember, no fighting, okay?
She's gone.
Okay, Nick, time to get on this murder investigation.
You again, because last time. So, what do we do now?
Isn't it obvious? We should get out there and investigate the murder.
Well, first we need to find out exactly where KB Security is located.
Hey, why don't we ask Miss Delight? She should know. Besides, I want to ask her some stuff about motorcycles.
Motorcycles? You're not thinking of getting one, are you?
I'm not the same little Maya who used to be happy with her dinky little bike, Nicky boy.
Speaking of asking around, I've got a few questions of my own for Mr. Delight.
Okay, well, let's make sure to go to the detention center too.
Must be relieved we got the sacred urn back, huh?
You bet. But there's something a little different about it. Don't at me. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, take a look at this. It clearly says I am on the urn in the poster. But the urn we got back says Amy, like it always used to.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Plus, the vase has pink splotches on it now. I'm sure they went there before.
Maya doesn't know, but 1 year ago, when the arm was broken, the repairer accidentally turned Mr. Gamey's name into I Am. And that repairer was one mechanically unskilled little Pearls. But still, I don't remember ever seeing pink splotches on it.
Is it possible that urn is a fake?
I'm sure Pars will find out about that once she gets back to the Karain village.
Yeah, I suppose.
Now that I think about it, why hasn't been back to Karain village in a long time? So, I guess people will still go to Karain village to do their training, right?
Yep. If you want to become a spirit medium, you need to undergo severe training.
So why haven't you been training lately, Maya?
Well, lately I've been thinking of heading to a channeling dojo to do just that.
A channeling dojo, huh? Sounds pretty serious. Whatever that is.
If you're going to train, you have to be serious. Otherwise, real tragedies can happen.
happened last year still bothering you? That murder in a village. It happened because the power of channeling was misused.
When a medium uses the careen technique, she temporarily loses her own will.
So when an especially strong spirit is summoned, the spirit medium can get taken over and even forced to commit terrible crimes. What's worse, in those cases, the spirit medium has no memory of what happened. That murder, it wasn't your fault, Maya. You know that, don't you?
No, it's not, but I guess I'm still a bit shaken up, that's all.
Sounds like being the Master Kareen is going to be a heavy responsibility.
Oh, Nicky boy. Maya.
Mr. Light?
All I wanted to do was help my dear Ronnie.
Yeah, and I guess it ended up hurting his case.
Don't say that, Nick. She doesn't need your help beating herself up. Hey, Nicky boy. Please help Ronnie. He's not a killer, I swear. My Ronnie wouldn't hurt a fly.
Alright, I'll poke around and see what I can find out.
Really? Are you serious? Oh, I'm so happy. I knew asking for your help was the right thing to do. I don't know what I can do to help anymore.
I had no idea Mr. Light had such a vulnerable side.
Listen carefully, Nicky boy. My Ronnie would never ever kill anyone. It's just not in him. I don't think he would either, Nick.
Yeah, but you have to admit he's got a bit of a temper to him. It's not that hard to imagine him just snapping and screaming, "Please die!"
He would never say that. Anyway, Mr. Light, he might not be a killer, but he's still going around saying that he's a thief. I already told you, that's just a fantasy for him.
Mr. Light, I hate to say it, but you're the one living in a fantasy world.
But, what? How dare you say that to me, Nicky boy? I know everything about my Ronnie. We don't have any secrets between us. Ronnie isn't the thieving type. He's so honest that he wouldn't even sneak a nap. There. He's so honest that he wouldn't even steal a glance. A thief? Huh, the very idea.
I guess I just don't get it.
Get what?
I just can't understand how they can be so different, and yet be such a happy couple.
Yeah, they sure are different. Come on now, Nicky boy. It's not that mysterious, is it? It was love at first sight. For me, anyway. What? For you? So was it really love at first sight when you first met Mr. Delight? Well, maybe not at first sight, but Ronnie saved my life. Saved your life? I was at work one day when 2 robbers suddenly rushed in. Well, I'm not the kind to just curl into a little ball in the corner, so I fought back.
Robbers?
Yes, they took me hostage. I was so frightened. They were both carrying these huge knives, and I broke down into tears.
Yeah, I would too if I were in that situation.
Oh, I think I get it. Did Mr. Delight come running to save you? Yes, exactly. I remember he looked so handsome in that guard uniform of his. He went right up to those 2 knife-wielding robbers and screamed in their faces. Please, stop it, he screamed. I could see the robbers' faces turn pale.
That high-pitched shriek of his does have a surprisingly strong effect on people.
Then, crying and swinging his arms like crazy, he attacked the 2 robbers. All by himself. He came to save me, a total stranger, all by himself. He was so scared that he was crying and shaking,
but he still risked his life for me.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yes, you may not look it, but in a tough situation, there's no one better. That's why I fell in love with him like I did. That's so romantic. I'd fall in love too, I guess.
Nick, I hope you'll do the same for me if I ever get taken hostage.
With Maya, that possibility always seems to loom in the not-so-distant future. Technically, it already happened as well.
I hate these kinds of people more than anything. You mean ace detectives?
No, I'm fine with ace detectives.
Oh, so then you must mean thieves.
No, they're alright too. I just hate thieves that pretend to be ace detectives. There's nothing I hate more than cowardly men.
By the way, why did you go to Detective Atmy's office anyway?
Well, as the trial went on, I started to get more and more anxious. I went there to try and find out more about the real criminal.
The real criminal?
Yes, obviously. The real Master Mask is not my Ronnie, right?
Yeah.
And Detective Atmy knew more about Master Mask than anyone else. They mentioned him on the Great People Around Town segment on TV. So, you went there to ask him some questions? That's right. I'll do whatever it takes to save my man. His secretary said the ace detective isn't in right now, but I forced my way past her and into his hideout. I wouldn't exactly call that office of his a hideout. That bag was sitting right there on top of the table.
Oh yeah, we saw that bag there yesterday too.
There's nothing lower than someone who would try to pin a crime on someone else.
Mr. Light, do you know about KB Security?
Don't be silly.
Of course I do. That's where my Ronnie works.
So, she thinks he still works there, huh? And yet, according to what we heard today... Come on, don't tell me you didn't know. Rondalite was once an employee of KB Security. He was a professional security guard. Ron quit. He doesn't work there anymore.
Looks like Mr. Light doesn't know.
KB Security is only about 20 minutes away by motorcycle, that is. Mary told me it takes 30 minutes by car. Well, I have to admit I tend to fly pretty fast on my bike. To make it to KB Security that fast, are you sure you aren't literally flying? Why don't I give you a ride sometime? Or better yet, how about now? No, I'll pass. Thanks. Why don't you just tell us where it is and we'll go ourselves?
What a scaredy cat you are, Nick.
Mr. Light told us the location of KB Security.
Okay, let's head over there right away, Nick.
So, I guess this is where it all went down, huh?
The walls in here look thick, just like you'd expect in a CEO's office.
What's that got to do with anything? Hey, it's you guys. Oh, it's Detective Gumshoe. Today was a real train wreck for you guys, huh?
Sure was, pal. That prosecutor made real fools out of us.
Yeah, I feel for you.
Oh, it's not like you at all. I thought you'd be more like... Oh, that was great. You guys got what you deserve, pal. Ho, ho, ho. Or something to that effect.
Do I really sound like that to you, pal?
If the gumshoe fits.
Well, anyway, the point is I came can tell... the point is I can tell when someone puts their heart into their jobs. And I can sympathise when things don't go your way. Sometimes I feel like wrong is the only way things go for us detectives.
Wow. I had no idea Detective Gumshoe was such a nice guy.
Now if this little love fest is over, maybe we can start investigating.
Detective Gumshoe, tell us what you know about the murder.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I'm really not supposed to.
Hey, come on. What about how we put our hearts into our work? Things are really working against us right now, and we need help.
Okay, I'll tell you. Just don't start crying on me, okay, pal?
Okay, I won't cry on you, pal.
The victim's name is Kane Bullard. He was the CEO of KB Security, and a pretty big fellow in his own right. His corpse was discovered at 9 this morning. His estimated time of death was 1 in the morning on October 12th. Cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, probably an object in this room. Happened at exactly the same time that Master Moss was stealing the urn, huh?
So, why did it take almost an entire day to discover the body?
There's a good explanation for that one. Bullard's body was stashed away inside that safe.
Safe?
Well, it is pretty big. Nobody had heard from him. When they opened the safe this morning, out he came. Oh, so the body fell out. What string must be the shape when he fell out?
I think we still need some more information about Mr. Billard.
Maybe you could start by getting the man's name right.
So, what happened to Master Mars?
Oh, he's at the detention centre screaming like a madman. Investigate me again! He keeps yelling. No. I didn't mean him. He's not the real thief anyway, right? Oh, you mean that detective at me? Oh, that was great! That guy got what he deserved!
Now that's the detective I know and love.
Think about it. Happy was always around when a calling card showed up. But he always mysteriously disappeared when the heist took place. I was hiding at the crime scene. Ha! Yeah, right. That's the lamest thing I've ever heard. That's how you just knew he was the thief. That would explain how he was able to retrieve the stolen item he kept bragging about. Yeah, he just did that to make himself look like a great detective, that's all. But there's this one thing I can't figure out about his first heist. His first heist? Yeah, the Tear of Eminon case. There was a witness on that one.
A witness?
Yeah, I saved the newspaper clipping. Since the thief is already under arrest, you guys can keep it.
Hey, this guard here. Haven't I seen him somewhere before?
It's pretty small, so it's kind of hard to see, but now that she mentions it...
Oh, that prosecutor. I really don't like that guy. The way he used our own evidence to do that to Mr. Delight.
Yeah, I think he did it that way just because he knew it'd hurt more. That's what my gut tells me anyway. So who is that Java-addicted masked maniac anyway? Blech. Prosecutor Godot? He's quite the enigma, huh? The thing is, pal, I never even heard of the guy before. He just showed up one day at the prosecutor's office. Came out of nowhere. That's right. He said this was his first case as a prosecutor. Man, it's true. According to the records anyway. But no way he's an amateur. He's a nice man in court,
a maverick that gives me goosebumps.
Goosebumps? You?
Yeah, I knew something was off about him, so I asked around. Nobody would talk to me. They all just turned the other way.
Poor Detective Gumshoe. I had no idea you were so unpopular.
Oh no, that's not what I meant.
Good old guy acts like he knows me and has a grudge against me. I get the feeling he's hiding some kind of dark secret.
Oh, there's a button here. Let's see.
Hey, cut it out. Don't press that.
That was pretty funny. I never knew Detective Gumshoe could jump like that.
What is that button anyway?
It's an emergency buzzer. Says it right there on the panel.
Oops, you're right. It's written right there. Nick, how many times have I told you to read the instructions first?
The alarm's connected to the basement guard room. It's used to summon security up here.
Really? And it's possible on the night of the crime?
Oh, so when the CEO was attacked, do you think that maybe he pressed the buzzer?
Yeah, I thought about that. So I asked around down there. But they said that the buzzer never went off that night. Also, we couldn't find any fingerprints on the buzzer. Mr. Bullard, the victim, wasn't wearing any gloves, by the way, just so you know.
I think we better go and talk to that guard about this emergency buzzer.
Well, look at that huge framed photo.
Tall mountains rising majestically against a dark and cloudy sky.
There's a title written at the bottom of the photo. The greatest sunrise of my life. This is it. This was his best sunrise.
No, this guy didn't get out enough, or he had really rotten luck with the weather.
Maybe if he had lived a little longer, he would have seen some better days. You think about it. The dead guy was lying in here all night.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, don't bother asking about fingerprints. There were none.
Well, somebody opened the safe on the night of the crime, right?
Yeah? And so?
Well, if Mr. Bullard's body was hidden in there, it must mean that it was opened by either the killer or the victim, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I got some bad news for you, pal. Are you ready?
Okay, shoot.
Opening this baby is no piece of cake. There are only a few people who know how to open this safe, pal.
Yeah, and?
Everyone that knows how to open this safe had airtight alibis. I checked. Everyone except one, that is.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
Former security chief, Rhonda Light.
What? Rhonda Light? He was a security chief?
Well, so he knew how to open the safe, huh?
Yeah, sorry for raining on your parade there, pal.
Miss Rowe, you think it fell out of the safe when it was opened?
I don't think so.
So you mean...
Yeah, I think this string shows where and how the corpse was laying.
You mean... the victim? He was killed by being crushed by the safe door?
She can't be serious, can she? Check out this big thick binder here.
Leave the heavy lifting to me, Nick.
Reading a file isn't exactly backbreaking work, just a little hard on the eyes.
What did you find out, Nick?
This file, it's not about any sort of security operations or anything. This huge file is all about Master Mask. It's filled with info on him.
What? What kind of info?
It's filled with incredibly detailed information about his methods and the crime scenes.
Hey Nick, look at this look at the last page.
It's a list. Let's see. Tier of Eminon, 100,000. This looks like a list of all the treasures that Master Mars stole.
So then, 100,000 is the value of the stolen item?
I don't know. That number sounds kind of low to me. I think I'd better secretly make a copy of this list. This must be the CEO's desk. It's a lot simpler than I would have thought.
Hey, that looks like a super soft chair. Let me try it out just for a second. Oh, nice. I feel just like a CEO. Hey, you. Whip me up a cup of some really expensive import tea and some scones. Move it. This is the life.
The victim sat in that chair just before he was brutally killed, you know.
These look like some kind of bookshelf rolling cabinet hybrid.
I can't get in between these two shelves.
Don't strain yourself trying. It looks like the shelves are controlled by a special panel.
So I guess it's one shelf at a time, huh? Looks like they're filled with bunches of files.
Yeah, files filled with data about security jobs they were hired to handle.
It's a good night's reading, if you got insomnia. I was hoping for something a little more exciting, like UFOs or something.
Wow, this is really something else.
For a security guard office, it sure doesn't feel very secure.
KB security guard. Uh-oh, I just remembered. Larry might be... Hey Nick, what's up? Ugh, so he is here.
Yo, how's it hanging, dude? And you got my sweet little Maya with you too. Hi, Larry.
Hey, here I was working my fingers to the bone, and he walks an angel. I got no problems with a daytime date. It's all good.
No, that's not what we're here for. We're investigating the Bullard murder case.
Huh? Oh yeah, that's right. You're a lawyer, aren't you?
It's so hopelessly clueless.
Well, if it's about the murder case, boy have I got some good info for you.
Really? What is it?
Oh, well, I don't mind sharing with my sweet little Maya, but Nick here is a different story.
But Larry, I thought you two were old school buddies.
That was then and this is now.
So, what's this good info you were talking about, Larry?
Hey, I'm a guard, a pro. I can't just give away information for free.
He wants a bribe. I thought professionals were more, I don't know, honest? Can you talk to him, Maya?
Larry, tell us already. What's the good info?
Hey, you like that? Oh, this kitten has got some claws. Okay, you really want to know?
Yes, so tell me.
Okay, so the thing is, Rondelite was an employee here. Naturally, since I'm a pro, I looked into his background. Follow me?
Yes, you're a pro. I follow you. Go on.
Well, 1 year ago, Rondelite was fired. There was no warning at all. It just happened all of a sudden. I know this is a small company, but I think that was pretty awful.
Guess he must have done something bad to have caught on fire like that.
Like maybe skipping out of work to go pick up hot chicks or something.
No, that's just you. So, what is it like to be a part-time security guard?
Well, let me tell you, it's tough. Well, you know me, I get by alright, I guess. First I have to keep my eyes on those monitors all the time.
Monitors?
There are security cameras set in each room around the building. It's really hard. Sometimes I feel like my eyes are going to fall out.
Oh,
And if I see something suspicious, I have to contact one of the teams.
what teams?
The security teams for this company. They're supposedly the best in the business. But I'm no amateur either, so if it's something small, I don't bother calling them.
So in other words, you basically watch TV screens all day long. You were in this office when the murder took place, weren't you?
Why do you say that? This is just a part-time job for me, and I can't operate the equipment. I'm dumb.
Even if it's a part-time job, and you are dumb, you're still in charge of security.
Hey, give me a break. Don't try to pin the whole thing on me. That's not fair, Nick.
I don't think you can expect someone like him to take any responsibility.
Anyway, point is you were here that night, right? Ugh, stop trying to yawn, body. Oh no, I knew something smelled bad, and it was the butts after all.
Well, it's like I always say. That was then, and this is now, okay?
Looks like I'm going to have to break his cyclops after all.
Treasures of Curing exhibit is all ruined now. I'm sorry. It's just so sad. This was our big chance for everyone to learn about spirit channeling.
Maybe I can cheer her up somehow. Well, now that we've got the Sacred Hand back, maybe they can reopen it.
Really?
Sure. Maybe we can label it the Urn of Master Desires. That would probably attract a lot of attention.
Whoa! That's brilliant, Nick. We could clean up and be filthy rich. Woohoo!
That was surprisingly easy. Now there is a tiny bug flying in the room.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Wright.
Miss Andrews? What she's still hanging around down here for?
So, how's it going? What about the Sacred Urn?
The urn? Oh, that. It's been taken care of already.
What do you mean all that? Taken care of? Do you mean it's been found? Yes, it was brought in during the trial today. Wow, really? You really are the greatest, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright had nothing to do with it. It was Master Ma's wife that found it. Well, anyway, I'm so relieved. I just heard all about it on the news. So that detective was actually the thief all along.
It looks that way right now.
It's my fault. I'm the one who ended up hiring Damas to guard the treasures.
Don't blame yourself. You were just doing your job.
Hey Nick, if she wants to apologize, you should let her. So, when was it that you hired Detective Atme again?
About 20 days ago. And when was it that there?
Yes.
Stop flying in front of my eyes. And when was it that Master Mars' calling card arrived?
That was about 10 days ago.
So he sent a calling card to the very place he was hired to guard.
I guess that's it then. Detective Atme must have really wanted the Sacred Urn after all.
I guess so.
What? So Master Mars murdered someone as well?
Well, that's how things look right now.
Yes, but I thought that he was here stealing the urn at the time.
Well, we're talking about a criminal mastermind, so anything is possible.
Nick, let's get down to business already. On the night of the theft, did you notice anything suspicious about Detective Atme?
No.
I couldn't have. After all, he was hidden the entire time. I never even caught a glimpse of him.
He claims that's the way he always operates.
That's just what he said so he can have an alibi while he commits the thefts himself.
Yeah, he was caught in the crime scene photo dressed up as Master Mars pretty well.
I'm so glad you got your secret urn back.
Yes, but there's still something that bothers me about it.
What is it?
I'm not exactly sure. But somehow the urn that came back seems different.
Really? You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Miss Andrews? No, I don't know anything. Why would I?
Cyclops?
What do you think this means, Nick?
It means the person that holds the secret to the mystery of the Sacred Urn is our very own Miss Andrews. Can I do this one? On the night of the crime, were you working hard like you were supposed to? What? Huh? Of course I was. Why wouldn't I have been? But didn't you sneak out of work just yesterday to go see Mr. Light? But that was that, and this is this. Is there any chance that you snuck out of work last night too? Never. I didn't sneak out. I tell you what, I'll even bet you $1. $1. Now that's confidence. What's with that drenched in the rain puppy look on your face? Do you have evidence that I left my position, or are you just pulling my chain? The evidence that Barry was not manning his station when the murder happened is... this wallet. You know about this, right?
I've never seen it before.
Liar. You hand-delivered this wallet to Mr. Light just yesterday.
Give me a break. You can't expect me to remember every little thing that happens.
I do expect you to remember something that happened just yesterday. What time was it when you found this wallet?
I guess it was around 1 in the morning on the first floor of our company building. 1 o'clock in the morning?
That's right. In other words, Larry, at the time of the murder, you were away from the security guard office.
Yeah, but there's something you didn't think about.
What's that?
My shift that day didn't start until 10 p.m. The murderer might have snuck in before then.
What do you mean by that?
The murderer had snuck in before 10 p.m. Then it wasn't my fault. It was the fault of the guy whose shift was before mine.
I have the feeling that he still doesn't get the seriousness of this. Listen up, Larry. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the killer snuck into the CEO's office after 10 p.m. during your shift. Larry, when you use this keycard, does it leave a record?
Yeah, it does. I can't show the record to just anyone, you know.
The keycard data was already made public in the trial today.
What? I didn't know that. Any kind of request for info like that is supposed to go through me.
Why does that sound a bit arrogant coming from a part-time guard? Anyway, according to the data, the door to the CEO's office was opened with this card. Furthermore, it was most definitely used at 1 a.m. at the 1 a.m. the time of the murder.
No way.
Yes, someone used this to get into the CEO's office. That happened at 1 a.m. on the night of the crime, right in the middle of your shift.
Oh.
Larry, you can duck your No, you can't duck your responsibilities this time.
No. Oh, I knew it. It's all my fault. It's my fault that the boss was killed. My fault.
Larry.
There was nothing I could do. I have important issues to deal with too, man.
What happened that night anyway?
Oh, my Donna happened.
Your Donna?
I got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, my Donna called and said I have to talk to you right away. So I went to see her and he was standing right there next to her.
Who was?
Her new boyfriend. It was like some horrible joke. Before I knew what was going on, the guy socked me right in the kisser. Normally I'm the one that does the punching. Isn't that right, Maya?
Yeah? So, is that why you left the security guard office?
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. How can I ever make up for it, Nick? What can I do? What?
He's curled up on the floor crying like a baby.
Oh boy. Nick, is there anything I can do? Anything, just name it. I'll do whatever I have to do to make up for it. I swear I will.
Larry.
Hey, Nick. As long as he's offering, why don't you show him the evidence we've got?
She's right. Maybe we'll get at least one bit of useful information from him.
Nick.
Buzzer in the CEO's office is directly connected to this room, right?
That's right. Just like my heart is connected to yours, Maya. Huh? Go ahead, Maya. stops the buzzer in my heart. I promise I'll come running to your rescue, like the professional guard I am.
Wow, that was pretty good.
Thanks, I try.
Do you think you could tell us about the buzzer now?
Yes, please. Please tell us.
Okay, I guess so. Prepare to be wowed.
I accidentally pressed the buzzer earlier.
Yeah, I heard it. So that was you, huh?
You're a security guard, aren't you? Why didn't you come to the CEO's office?
Oh, this is the 3rd floor of the basement. The CEO's office is on the 1st floor. I thought it would be a good idea to, adopt a wait-and-see approach. Plus, there's a police detective here, right? I just didn't think it was necessary.
It's as if he's trying to win an award for being the laziest person on the planet.
Let's get back to talking about the night of the murder, okay? Is it true that the buzzer didn't go off that night?
It must be a record, right? You must have had a look at it, right?
Of course I did. I couldn't possibly have made a mistake either.
Do you think you could take just one more look for me? Pretty please?
Oh, okay. I just can't say no to you, Maya.
What do you think, Nick?
He's probably right. I don't think even Mary could...
Wah!
What is it? What's wrong?
I made a mistake.
Huh? But how?
Can't be. It's impossible.
Okay, enough already. What about the records?
That night, it went off just once, in the morning, at around 1 a.m.
1 a.m. That's when the murder happened.
Really? Are you serious? Oh, that's terrible. It can't be.
Whatever.
Detective Gumshoe, tell us more about Shane Bluebird.
That's Cone Bullard, not Shane Bluebird, pal.
Oh yeah, the victim in this case just doesn't make much of an impression on me.
Well, you were the victim up until Mr. Bullard was found dead.
Yeah, and his body wasn't discovered until this morning.
Anyway, we don't have enough information yet. Can you help us out?
Sorry, I'm actually a little confused myself. For some reason, I'm just blabbering like an idiot right now.
Okay, Nick, now is our chance to get more info about the victim, so hurry up and ask.
Can you tell us some more about Mr. Bullard?
He is the CEO of KB Security, right? What kind of company is it anyway?
Well, the company basically sends security teams out to buildings to guard them. Mr. Bullard must have had the chance to learn a lot of secrets doing this kind of work.
Oh, and?
And I don't know how to put this, but the guy was kind of a money grubber.
Really? Me too. I just love money. Can't get enough.
Please stop leaning in towards me like that. You won't get into my wallet.
Well, anyway, it looks like he did some pretty shifty stuff to earn his millions.
Oh? So that's my problem. I need to be shiftier.
There we go already.
Apparently he was involved in selling trade secrets between rival companies.
Ooh, that's pretty dirty and underhanded.
Yeah, well, KB Security used to head security operations against Master Mask.
What? Really?
Yeah, and after screwing up so many times, the company's reputation really took a nosedive.
So it really was Bullard who sent Ron the blackmail letter. Such a roundabout way to get to places.
Ah, Mr. Wright. Mr. Delight. Did they finish their interrogation? Yes, but please don't leave me. Don't leave me alone anymore.
Mr. Delight, you lied to us before, didn't you?
Well, you see...
On the same night as the sacred elm was stolen from Lordly Taylor department store. Blackmail letter you got summoned you to KB security to hand over some money. And then, that's where the CEO Kane Bullard was murdered. But there's only one Ron Delight, am I right? So the only question is, where were you that night? This time I want to hear the whole truth. Your life depends on it. Okay. Mr. Delight, do you still insist that you are Master Mask?
Isn't that what I've been saying since yesterday? That was a quick response.
Tell me about it. To be honest, it's starting to get irritating.
But listen, Mr. Delight. At the trial today, we learned the true identity of the thief, didn't we? Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. Oh, I guess it's true. I wasn't the one who stole that urn. Of course not. After all, you were at KB security at the time.
So then the person dressed up as Master Mask in this photo.
It's gotta be Detective Atme.
So that night, you didn't go to Lordly Taylor, you went to KB security, right?
Yes. I went to KP security at the time of the blackmail note said I should. Alright, what happened next? Well, I used to work there, so I knew where the CEO's office was. Knocked, but there was no answer. So then I used the keycard to unlock the door.
That's probably when he dropped his wallet.
When I went into the CEO's office, someone was in there.
Someone?
Then suddenly they bashed me over the head. Bam! Was it King Bullard that hit you? I don't know. The person ran away while I was still stunned. I came to my senses. The sight I saw left me speechless. The dead body of the CEO was right there in front of me. Thought I'd die myself. Anyway, I thought I should do something with the body.
So that's why you put it in the safe?
Yes, that's right. I used to be the chief of one of the security teams, so I knew how to open it. Okay, and what did you do after that? Well, I got out of there for starters. I was the one who set up the security cameras in that building. So I knew how to avoid being spotted by them. Nick. All of a sudden, Mr. Delight kind of sounds like the murderer to me.
Please don't say that.
Mr. Delight, is it true that 1 year ago you were forced to quit KB security? How did you... I'm begging you. Please don't tell Desi. Please. Don't worry. We haven't told anyone yet. Oh, thank goodness. No, I suppose I'll have to tell her sometime. She'll find out eventually. Why have you been hiding it from her anyway? Desi would despise me if she ever found out I was living a life of crime. Criminal, thief. She'd never forgive me. My marriage would be over. Knowing that, why did you become a thief in the first place? Because Desi spends money like it's water. There's no job in the world that can bring in enough money. Except being a thief. At least that's what I thought anyway.
So he became Master Mars for Desiree, huh?
Hey, this is an article about my debut heist. Boy, that was a tough one. Before I knew it, they were all on my trail. But Master Mask, he must have gotten away, right? It says in the article that he disappeared. That's right. I got a sudden burst of inspiration. I hid my Master Mask costume in a nearby plastic bucket. And I quickly changed into my security guard uniform. Pretty clever, eh? Oh, awesome. Hey, hold the phone. Regarding this photo, is this you, Mr. Delight? That's right. Nice trick if I do say so myself.
Nice and easy to figure out. Even pals could see through that in a heartbeat.
As you might expect, the Detective Atomy found the disguise. He truly deserves the title of Ace Detective.
Detective Atomy found the Master Mars disguise? That's interesting.
Yes, and I heard that he brought it home with him.
So that's it. That's when Atomy got his hands on this.
Thanks to that, I got the chance to remake my costume. That must have been really time-consuming, huh? Yes, it took quite a while to complete. Anyway, a few days after that, I received the first of the blackmail letters. Blackmail letters?
You got them starting when? Tell me more, now!
Hey, calm down. Don't get so worked up. This blackmail letter, is this the first one you got? No, of course not. This is the first one that ever called me out to a specific location.
So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident?
Yes, just a few days after the Tier of Emerald heist. The first letter, it said, I know you did it. So, someone found out your true identity just like that? It's not easy being a master thief, you know. I've got proof that it was you. So give up, it went on to say. So in the end, I had to give up the treasure I went through all that trouble to steal.
Is that right? Hey, hang on a second. What do you mean you had to give it up?
Oh, don't worry. After I put the jewel in the safe deposit box, the letter specified, someone sent me $10,000.
No one said anything about being worried, you know?
After that, I started getting the
plans in the mail.
Plans? What are these plans you were talking about?
They were instructions on how to steal a crown, or a painting, or some other rare treasure. They showed security blind spots, escape routes, and even suggested training methods.
So you mean that the one who planned the heist wasn't you?
No, it wasn't. I only planned the very first one. After that, I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans.
Sounds like Mr. Delight is thankful to the person that was blackmailing him.
So, Ron Delight was Master Mask after all. But someone else is behind the thefts. Someone who planned them all out in detail. All I had to do was deposit the treasures I stole into the safe deposit box. But no, I just waited for the cash to come in the mail. Could you try not to look so gleeful about it?
So you went after the Sacred Urn because of those plans too?
Well, see, truth is, I've never seen the urn. All I did was follow the instructions and steal what I was told to steal. Mr. Delight, is everything you've just told me the truth?
Yes,
but please don't tell Desi, okay? Ron, before we go, there's one more thing I want to ask you.
Yes, but please, don't hurt me.
Mr. Kane Bullard, do you swear that it wasn't you who killed him?
Yes, of course. I could never. I'm not lying. What I did was hide his body in the safe. But then I was afraid they'd discover what I did, so I turned myself in yesterday. Why?
Well, if the judges ruled that I was guilty of robbery, then I'd have an alibi, right?
I guess so. You're really clever, Mr. Delight.
Guess I have no choice but to take Mr. Delight at his word.
Mystic Maya! Hey, Pearly! I'm back!
Hey, Bells. So what have you been up to this whole time?
Sacred Urn, Mr. Nick. I took it back to Kareem Village to have it examined. And? What did you find out? Well, there's no need to worry. They said it's the real urn. Phew. That's a relief. I was really worried. But there's one small problem.
Problem?
These cute little pink splotches. They said that it's paint, and that they were put on the urn recently.
Why are we talking about the pink splotches again? What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? We've got to find out how they got there. That's the big deal. Yes, Mr. Nick. We've got to find out how they got there.
Okay. We'll go find out how they got there. Please, don't forget about me.
Oh, Pearl. How nice to see you. Hello there. I haven't seen you around lately. What have you been up to? Well, actually, I was having this urn examined.
Oh,
I see.
maybe if we take another good look at this urn, we can figure out the mystery of what actually happened here.
Nick, let's look around one more time.
This box, there's something about it that's bothering me.
That's the box the sacred urn was in. Looks like there's some pink paint on it too. And it's definitely the same colour as the stuff on the urn.
I think I know how the paint got on it now.
Alright, let's investigate again, Nick.
It looks to me like it's been dry for several days.
There's something suspicious about this paint mark. What on earth plant is it? It is shaped oddly, and it's shocking pink. Mr. Nick, could it be that this odd shape is...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it.
That's the box the sacred urn was in.
If you look here, there's a little bit of paint on the box as well.
Well, you're right. Look, it matches. What is it, Mr. Nick?
This is all turning out exactly as I thought it would. It's all starting to become clear. We're that much closer to solving the mystery of what happened to the urn. Miss Andrews, do you know anything about the sacred urn?
Do I know anything about? I'm in charge of the entire treasure exhibit.
The urn that was submitted before the court today. It's obviously not the same urn as before.
Well, that's true. Maybe it isn't the same. It could be a fake.
A fake?
You're the one who said it wasn't the same, so that's the most obvious explanation. Do you have any evidence that the urn that was submitted at the trial was genuine?
Sorry to break it to you, but the urn is the genuine article. Bells went back to Kareem Village and had it examined.
Is that right? That's nice. I don't see how...
What she discovered was that the urn had been broken again.
Did you say again?
Yes, it was broken once, a year ago. Now it looks like the same thing happened again. Has happened there. And quite recently too.
Recently? Are you saying that this urn was broken recently?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Why do you think it was broken recently? How do you know?
This poster, it was made recently, right?
Poster? Ah, the poster for the exhibit.
At the time when this photo was taken, the urn said I am on it. But now, for some mysterious reason, it says Amy on it. When the urn was fixed, the letters were transposed.
Ah. I am. What does that even mean? I don't know anything about that. I wasn't even there when the photo for this poster was taken.
That was a mistake. Now, tell the truth.
Wait.
Or?
Even if the urn was broken, I had nothing to do with it.
Huh?
Yes, that's it. It must have been one of the people at the photo shoot. They probably dropped it. I'm sure that's what happened.
Looks like she's not going to give up that last Cyclops so easily.
Do you have any proof that the urn was broken here at Lordly Taylor?
Well, Miss Andrews?
What is this supposed to mean?
This urn has these pretty little pink paint splotches on it.
Hmm.
And there's some on the box that the urn was stored in too. No matter how you look at it, the paint seems to be the exact same, to be exactly the same, wouldn't you say?
So, what does that prove?
That the urn was dropped along with the box. That's when they both got paint on them. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
The rest of the story is obvious. This box was dropped right here in Lordly Taylor's basement warehouse. If I can prove that, it means that the urn was broken here too.
So, can you prove that? Can you prove that the box was dropped here in the basement warehouse?
I think you already know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Yes, more or less.
There's pink paint splattered on the floor and walls of this basement warehouse. But there's an odd shape imprinted into a part of the paint stain, am I right?
Yes.
You put this box into the impression in the paint, you can see it fits perfectly. Which means this box was dropped right over there. And that is when the urn was broken.
Your name does you justice, Mr. Wright. I'm so sorry. I was the one who broke the urn.
Boy, does this make me feel like some sort of evil schoolteacher.
I'm a terrible person. Not only did I break it, but I tried to hide what I did. Well, that's not so hard to understand, is it, Pearly? No, not at all. I know just how she feels. It happened about 2 weeks ago. Just after the poster photo was taken, on the same day the urn arrived here. I thought I'd put it away down here for safekeeping. I was carrying it in the box. And I tripped on a paint can and lost my balance. The box I was carrying crashed to the ground. I heard a terrible noise and I thought my heart was going to stop. Fearing the worst, I opened the lid of the box and that's when it happened. The broken pieces of the urn fell out of the box and landed right in the paint. I was in shock. I let out a huge scream. I can totally see how that could have happened.
Yeah, as clumsy as she is, I'm sure Maya understands.
Well, I knew it was the most important treasure in all of Kurain Village, so I tried as hard as I could to fix it. Fortunately, the shards were pretty big. And that's when the I Am got changed to Amy. I didn't know how it was originally written. But any sane person fixing it would have assumed it said Amy. Any sane person? Really?
Oh, pearls. She said she wasn't very good at spelling.
Anyway, I put the urn into the storeroom and no one had seen it since. But there's something I don't get. When we first came here, I didn't see any paint stains. Well, that's because it was so ugly and embarrassing. I used the golden statue to cover it. Amy Faye's statue? Ah.
First time we came down here, it was on the night that the sacred urn was stolen.
But, Mr. Nick, there were no paint marks on the walls or floor of the warehouse when we were here. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. And I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I see. Now it makes perfect sense. But there's still one thing I find strange. What is it, Pearl? The day after the urn was stolen, we came here again. At that time, the statue had been moved, and the paint was clearly visible.
She's right about that. Oh, Miss Andrews?
What? I don't know anything about that. I placed it there to cover the paint, so why would I move it again? Well, then who was it? Who would have done it and why?
The day before the theft, the statue was definitely closer to the door. And the next day it was moved. But why? Looks like there's some connection between the sacred urn and the murder case.
What? Do you think so, Nick?
Because that night, the real thief, Rhonda Light, was at KB Security. So why did another Master Mask show up here? A lot of different things are pointing to one undeniable fact.
One undeniable fact?
The murder trial is starting tomorrow, but it looks like that thief is going to be making another appearance.
Hey, Nick.
What is it this time?
You won't believe how many people are here for the trial.
Well, it's a murder case.
What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door.
Next door?
Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atme's trial today.
Detective Atme.
They say they're going to try him as Master Mask.
Already? That was fast.
Boy, I'd love to see Master Mask's trial.
I know. By the way, where's Pearls?
Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore.
No, you don't like me. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh?
Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please, don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight. Good morning.
Oh, no one likes me. No one would notice me even if I killed someone.
Come on, don't be silly. Oh, wait a second.
You don't mean you're the murderer?
No, no, I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor.
Now let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists.
Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murder, Nick?
It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock.
How come? Let's just take our time like always.
I'm afraid that's not an option.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ronderlight.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. You are ready. Preparation is the last refuge of the weak.
Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot.
He's got the judge in the palm of his hand, yet again. Ronderlight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all.
I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot.
Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right?
Yes. Well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case.
Well, Judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change.
The victim is Cain Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in the safe at approximately 9 AM on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 AM of the previous day.
And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. And that little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant.
Very well then, Mr. Godot. Please call your first witness.
I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best.
Mr. Godot, your witness.
Okay then. Let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ronderlight, has to say for himself.
The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but...
I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. You've got guts, Wright.
All right then. Mr. Ronderlight, please take the stand.
You did it, didn't you?
Yes.
What?
No. That's not true.
For a moment there I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever.
Oh, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making.
Once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. I wish I could go home.
Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened.
That evening around 1 AM, I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
1 AM, the exact time the murder took place.
The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny.
You never know from the way he's chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
One AM, huh? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow and my internal clock was also a bit...
1 AM, that's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct?
It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. It ordered you there?
It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere.
Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters, then?
Oh, of course. They'd said things like, steal this.
Heck, why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. What should I do? So what did the blackmail letter in question say?
It said to bring $50,000.
Money, eh? A perfect motive for committing murder.
Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway.
Oh, is that right?
After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of.
An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do.
The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything. Oops.
Except for his wife. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway?
The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct?
I'm sure it was referring to the whole master mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me.
He didn't?
Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me.
So that's why Mr. Light didn't believe he was Master Mask.
That's why I knew they were just hollow threats.
You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right?
Yes, that's right.
A security chief? You?
And yet, a year ago you were fired.
without notice. Revenge for an old grudge. The perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say?
This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job.
Well,
The whole world is filled with these. With those who have said, I wish I had never asked that.
Okay, I take it back.
Defendant, please answer the question.
well, I needed money.
You needed money?
Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough. So I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. Since I was a security team chief.
You stole some data and sold it.
Mr. Bullard found out, and I was fired immediately. What? Wish I'd never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it secret. It made it seem like I quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you.
You admit you stole data from your company. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm sorry.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and blew up. It's going to take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that.
Why would you do something like that?
Well, for Desi's hobby. What else?
Wasting money, huh?
It's not a waste. So, Miss Delight doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she?
So it would seem.
I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other.
Can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples.
Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
There wasn't much to his testimony, was there?
Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least that's what it sounds like to me.
Uh-oh. I got a bad feeling about this. We better be careful.
But if we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that reason isn't going to hold up anymore.
What do you mean?
The victim had proof the defendant was masked to mask. But you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier.
But that was all over with once I was fired. But it is true that the fact I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now, a whole year later.
Is that really true?
What is it, Nick?
The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have had a problem if that ever became public knowledge. Mr. Delight, I believe you would have been in considerable trouble if your identity as a company data thief was made public.
Mr. Wright? What are you trying to do by bullying your own client?
Men are like colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow. That's exactly right. Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo.
Little lawyer amigo?
Yes. Now come on. Provide some evidence to back up your recitation. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data, stealing perhaps secret from going public? Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday. Huh? What doesn't? I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret.
A certain person?
Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
But I... Listen to me. My Desi. She's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins.
Oh.
Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault.
What do you mean?
Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about.
Oh,
No, everything is falling neatly into place for him.
Don't talk about my Desi like that. Oh, you'll be sorry.
Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick?
Didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes.
Clearly there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much.
The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, it was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead.
I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Master Moss struck him on the head from behind.
Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Huh. No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that.
What are you saying? I really was attacked.
We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. Who was this suspicious shadow?
There were 1,000 of me, and if even one knew, I'd tell you, trust me.
He's dodging all of your questions.
He's dodging all of your...
Blech.
He's dodging all of our questions is not helping us win this case.
Okay, and how about the victim, Mr. Bullard, at the time?
What do you mean by... how was he?
Was he already dead? Was he still alive?
Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright?
Forget it. Your forehead?
Yes. I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. It was an amazingly fast and powerful attack.
Do you remember anything about who hit you?
Well, like I said, it was a fast and powerful attack. So I think I was a little dazed for a while. I don't think Mr. Delight even grasped what you were asking.
Yeah, I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that would knock some sense back into him. That? Could you please clarify what you are referring to?
Why, my Master Mask costume, of course.
Wait just a moment. Master Mask?
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I'm dressed as Master Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security.
What?
Nick, did you know about this? You never told me this.
I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets.
I'm sorry. I just never had the chance to mention it up until now. Wait. That's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind.
My sixth cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Master Mask costume.
Why were you dressed up as Master Mask?
Why? Because I'm Master Mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Master Mask trial is being held next door.
Yes. I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Master Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected.
Took a lot longer?
What is he talking about?
What do you mean by took a lot longer?
Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable. Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer is simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? So you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony.
Yes, sir. Oh, looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer? That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it. I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body.
Certainly makes more sense.
Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes to do it?
Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh. Hey, Nick, if you think his behaviour was so strange, why didn't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were?
That's it. Take a look at the court record and present some evidence.
We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we?
Not much in this testimony either.
Bet you he's still hiding something.
I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him.
I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated.
Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might this be?
A record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 AM.
What?
If Mr. Rondelite truly was the murderer, he would have run as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been headed his way. Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. But, as it turns out, the guard never came.
That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser, who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend, and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity, was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
And remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off.
This buzzer is extremely loud. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that?
Fine. Let's hear your theory.
Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body.
So, what are you trying to say?
Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever it was that knocked out Ron Delight and then pressed the buzzer.
Order in the court. Mr. Wright, this is...
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed King Bullard.
Then who pressed the buzzer?
It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button.
So King Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene. How? Can I prove that it wasn't King Bullard who sounded the buzzer? The defence's opinion is this, Your Honour. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not.
Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you'd say before opening your mouth.
The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue.
Now I'm the one who's clueless.
This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Ron Delight obviously wiped them off.
Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment.
He touched that button. I know he did.
The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Master Mask. And Master Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints?
Order, order, order!
It would seem I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blend number crow flavoured coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden?
It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks.
They're on to you, Nick.
Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? That was my... The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer.
Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed.
Security was supposed to respond.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well then. You've got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose?
Yes. Although as it turned out, he never showed up.
Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Rhonda Light, who was out cold. And a 3rd person, the real killer.
Hypothetically, yes.
Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Rhonda Light. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they would think that I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. But frame Rhonda Light for the murder.
Mortar!
It would seem I'd be made to eat my words once again.
Actually, you'd be made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Master Marceau. Nick, you mean the real killer is?
I'm going to drag that person in here right now.
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the real killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard.
Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Rhonda Light for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Detective, look at me! He is the one who could have done it. He's the only one who could have done it. Ace Detective.
Look at me.
You mean Master Mars did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime, subject to a capital punishment.
Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, the famous detective was unmasked as, well, as Master Mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty?
Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Master Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, watertight and unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict? As an alibi?
You know, it's almost time
For what?
for Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. And that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder.
Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and failed to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this? That's only good when your life's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you.
Mr. Delight,
So, please, I'm begging you.
thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix? What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice, it sounds like... Mia? Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. So that's your answer, huh?
Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Sir Detective Atme.
I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Atme. You were the one who...
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant Luke Atme. Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please. Well, Sir Lawyer. Welcome to my courtroom. Who is this hosiery? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You accuse Master Mask?
That man is not Master Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer.
What?
My sis?
I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice.
So then, she's still alive, inside your heart.
Nicky boy? Oh, Mr. Light.
Is it true that detective... Is it true that detective is the real killer?
To be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. He's the only one who could have done it.
But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard?
Oops. It's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later.
Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Look at me, please take the stand.
Well, well. How do you do, sir lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. But when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Master Mask. I'm sorry. However, even the great Look at Me has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Master Mask.
Indeed. It's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses.
Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are in fact Master Mask?
Of course.
Very well then, Look at Me. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 AM, King Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time?
One without knowledge lacked even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself.
But don't worry, I would not hold it against you, Sir Judge.
Thanks.
Alright, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears.
As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. I was still in the yarn as Master Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder.
Seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene.
Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well.
Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once.
Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination.
A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say you're full of it, Nick.
The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. So this photograph is the proof, correct?
Indeed it is.
And the man in the photograph is certainly wearing a mask.
That is why I'm called Master Mask.
Conveniently, that also means that there is no way to tell who this really is.
What do you mean?
Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Look at Me? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Master Mars to create an alibi? What an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? Look at Me was at KB Security during the murder. And the Master Mask in this picture has to be a fake.
And there really was an accomplice.
But right now I have no idea who it was.
I don't have any idea right now either.
Based objections are just what this guy wants. There's got to be another way, and I'm going to find it. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point.
That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right?
Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target.
I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am. Hey Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace persona, ace detective persona.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of odd. So a photograph. You mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct?
Indeed it is. This is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose. He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that.
Indeed. It turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing, a sad balloon melody.
Looks like I'd better gather more information from now. He's truly the killer. There's got to be something phony in that photo. About the camera that took this photograph.
Oh, come now. It's all too clear what you're thinking.
Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed the picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
Looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious.
So, this alibi is false.
Has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KG Security.
I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the Master Mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Yep, photograph, piece of evidence, indeed. What's that difference?
Lordly Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could have not killed King Bullard, unless I had an accomplice.
on. Think long and hard about that night. Basement warehouse and the picture. This picture that supposedly captures it. It's got to be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night, before the theft took place. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night.
Very well. Let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny?
The funny part is right here.
Why, this is a bloodstain. Ah, blood! Now this case is getting interesting.
Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint.
Oh, just paint. Peach coloured at that.
Blood to peaches. The judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen.
Well, Mr. Wright, what it's supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint that's the paint stains.
The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following.
Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it.
I myself was there the night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there. And when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner.
Perhaps it was somehow pushed there by accidentally.
Your Honour, this statue is slightly larger than yourself, and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it?
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
The one who moved the statue is none other than... Look at me!
Come now, sir lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what business do you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night.
Well, that is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue?
The reason for moving the gold statue. Here's where our battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me, you pretended to be Master Mask, to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would have been exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue.
A single fatal flaw?
Interesting theory. Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? Naturally, the liars in this photo is the timestamp.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time.
What does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honour. When was this statue placed beside the warehouse door?
Well,
The statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim, and so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place.
what the?
Of course, the statue hadn't been brought down yet. Brought down to the basement warehouse yet.
Oh,
So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in this photo. Ugh.
Water! Mr. Atme, is this true?
One moment, Your Honour. Have you forgotten this?
What's this?
What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor star. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data.
Water! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down.
My little cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means I'm still good till the last drop.
Now a little offense is a very good point.
A good point. So what? We are all travellers on a road of infinite points.
I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time? And that the statue was moved in order to make it match? That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is? That it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams.
That's very true.
No way. Don't fall for that, Your Honour. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes? If there's no funny business in your actions as Master Mask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So, let's hear it.
Yes. Please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box in Zavari. It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure,
so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 AM on October 12th.
That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, isn't it?
Yeah, but we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave.
Witness, you're sure there was no mistakes this time?
Zavari.
Very well then. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that right?
Indeed. It seems that they had heard of my sparkling reputation.
See, Miss Andrews is still attracting them weirdos. You better watch out too, Maya. You mean this box?
Yes, that pathetic box.
Lady Andrews was especially taken by that urn. And she wouldn't let anyone into the storeroom, not even me. Interesting new tidbit. So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before?
Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself.
My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse.
However, look at me. Let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers.
You mean this calling card?
That's right. That is without a doubt my calling card. Guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all.
Of course. Does that mean you know about the emblem? Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. Then no one else entered the basement warehouse?
Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there.
Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. And this is the photo that proves that, huh?
Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey Nick, if this photo is fake, Detective Adamy might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken.
That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. We need to take a good hard look at the court record.
Not a lot to go on, is there?
Detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. And he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime.
Alright then, how do we do that?
It's one thing that Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it.
We need to prove that he's lying.
Speckled urn, yeah. Mr. Atme, if you really are Master Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here
surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But so what?
Truth be told, there is no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern.
What do you mean?
This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains?
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor.
I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite.
The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this photo was taken. When this fake photo was taken. Blech. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Alright, that did it. It's broken.
Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose.
Huh? Huh. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days.
Conviction, you say?
Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer? You don't think we're being a tad, Pickle?
That's a good point.
No way. Don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke at me was the one who killed Cain Bullard. And let me ask you this. Why would he do that? Oh, an excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright. Motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest?
Nick, he's getting his second wind.
If he is prepared. If he prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder.
The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Oldtimer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Look at me. I had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Cain Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Cain Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
So, the victim Cain Bullard blackmailed the defendant?
This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwritten test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. What?
Very well. Mr. Wright, begin your cross-examination.
Who in the world is going to prove that? I will. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Abney and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report.
Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security.
Nope.
That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight.
Mistook?
That's right, mistook. From the old Norse mystica, meaning to take in error. That wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake Master Mars to be?
But the answer is obvious. Run the light, of course.
Oh, I'd like to wipe that smoke look off this guy's face. Can't stand here anymore is long-winded stories. I'll hold off on pressing them further for now. That's fine. Please continue your testimony.
Oh, I was looking forward to one of his long-winded stories.
You mean this blackmail letter right here?
It says, bring $50,000.
The handwriting is without a doubt the victim's? And there's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it.
But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere.
An addressee? This letter was discovered in Mondelight's apartment. And Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder.
What's up, Nick?
I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight?
Well, do you have any evidence of that?
For some reason I just can't shake the feeling. There's something not quite right about this blackmail letter.
Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied?
What do you mean by that?
I was certain you were already aware.
Zavari!
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief, I stole data from the company. Bullard had yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter upon mistakenly believing he was a thief.
Here is a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail.
However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually Master Mask?
On that point, there was an unfortunate bit of chance.
Do you really think that story is going to hold up?
That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid.
What do you mean? I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Lonnie thinks he is Master Mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Huh. Well, Mr. Trite. Ugh. Was he trying to act like Mr. Light just now?
I thought he was actually pretty convincing.
Well, that's just your imagination talking. Come now, Sir Lawyer.
I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it.
This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning.
Can't we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves?
It's a long story. I'd better say for another time.
Very well, another time.
Those so-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least not in my experience.
So, you're going to try to connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either.
In that case, you'll have to think about blackmail. About the blackmail.
That's true. Was that blackmail letter really intended for Ron?
Since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony.
Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme?
Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright.
When you said that this letter was addressed to Rhonda Light, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction.
Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that.
You want to talk?
At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior?
Indeed. Time to man up, Mr. White. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter.
Oh, the red diamond. Publicity photo. Autopsy report. Newspaper clipping. Hmm. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tiara of Emanon, the stolen jewel.
What about it?
Problem is this jewel's colour. Colour? I'm not much for discussing colour myself. According to the clipping, the colour of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tiara of Emanon that Master Mars stole at all. And your point is, Mr. Trite? So, you are trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite?
That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. White?
Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick?
Yes. This is who Game Bullard was actually blackmailing. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme.
Do you have some sort of basis for that claim?
You have been personally involved in every single Master Mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen. And received a jewel. As your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond I referred to in the letter. Which means that King Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you.
Order in the court. What do I say?
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright.
Uh-oh, I don't like the way you said that.
King Bullard blackmailing Luke at me? Are you for real?
Yes, I am.
Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. A blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world.
Yes, it certainly does.
King Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep secret. So just what was that identity?
Atme killed King Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret?
This is what it all comes down to, Nick.
The identity that Luke Atme wanted to so desperately keep secret was his identity as... Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection!
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that King Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit, that does sound a little odd.
It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. King Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Rhonda Light was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Blech.
Yes, just a few days after the Cherubimon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very, very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans.
Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Wonder Light was actually Master Mask.
That's what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Silence!
Now I see. It's all becoming clear.
What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Kids with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong?
How did you?
You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Rhonda Light?
In which case I would naturally know all about his relationship to Master Mask.
Well, yes.
Rhonda Light started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime,
How did Luke Atme know that Wrong Delight was Master Mask? I think I see it.
See what?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into a lot of mischief, trying to be the center of attention.
What do you mean?
This newspaper clipping. It had a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Master Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket.
That sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Master Mask was really Ron Delight.
What the? Wasn't he supposed to be Master Mask?
Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective.
Can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself as an ace detective.
Why you... How dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also Master Mask. Why can't you understand that?
I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity.
Why, you... How dare you even dare to convoluted logos wrongness? You yourself with the big mouth of yours. I say, none of you can comprehend genius. Stick on, dysentery, gunnery, yeah. This detective can order with a blackmail. It's enough to make one laugh.
It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme.
Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme.
The hammer that strikes too fast. There's no time to weigh.
What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling.
Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge.
You don't get much more in your face than that.
It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull. There's still one thing you have yet to prove.
What's that?
Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that, this pitiful excuse for a man... Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB Security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered.
No way!
Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright.
This is it. This is the final round. Got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night.
But can you really prove that?
That's long enough, Mr. Trite. I want to hear your answer. And that night, Luke Atme was at KB Security, and the defense... I can't prove it.
Just as I thought.
But if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony... Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Look at me is here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Master Mask.
No.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all.
And the ex-detective, as well as Master Mask, my verdict will verify that.
Just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that, with the full force of my ex-detectiveness,
Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness.
I can't believe this rape bonus. Don't give up now, Nick. Still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and... By then I'll be too late.
Huh? Why?
Double jeopardy? One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else.
Mr. Atney will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as Master Mask, which means
He will be innocent as far as the murder of King Bullard is concerned.
Way!
The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atney's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as King Bullard's murderer.
Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke at me, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? And I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atney.
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets.
That voice. No way.
Long time no see, Phoenix.
Mia!
this is the true power of the crane channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey.
Now, let's do this.
But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine.
Not yet. The testimony's not over yet.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I'm the ace detective, as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify this. Just as Runza Light will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well, then we shall prove their importance by cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witnesses made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot?
Nothing. Well, sir lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at... Let's hear it. It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you...
Very well then, Mr. Look at me. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So please, give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance.
Yes, Chief.
Indeed, it is true that I was not a lordly tailor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was on the light. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if it sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mouse outfit, which is why he left no prints. In the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zavari. Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well.
The witness's earlier remarks did not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points has been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course.
But how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, sir lawyer.
Are you going to make even more trouble for us now, sir lawyer?
I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
We cannot postpone Luce Acme's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Hang on a second. Just one chance?
It seems that the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts what that... contradicts with that... There isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem...
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix. Pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. You can't point out a case-breaking contradiction. You lose. That's all there is to it.
Cup number 17. The last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial.
I find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do to find the the contradictory remark. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Ugh. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
And it said I only get one chance, but I don't know if it actually means I only get one chance, or it's saying I only get one chance and I can still press everything. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a long ass freaking testimony as well. Mr. Emmy, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Emmy, it seems you have finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed. That's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry. Whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Rhonda Light was dressed as Master Mask when he went to the scene of the crime?
Look, that was,
It was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare.
Huh. Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry. I just never had a chance to mention it up until now.
That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that. You were in the next courtroom being tried as Master Mask. So then enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information?
Well...
Come on. This detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. There is one, and only one way, for Detective Atme to have found that out.
only one?
Only one, you say? Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there.
For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Rhonda Light. Impossible. Detective Atme, you saw Master Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed King Bullard and assaulted Rhonda Light. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing.
Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself.
Here I am, the tragic clown.
That's the same line you gave yesterday. But
I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time.
What an awfully complicated incident. Bullard was blackmailing Luke at me, who was in turn blackmailing Wanda Light. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke at me tried to frame Wanda Light. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Mask in order to escape his true crime.
To that end, he came up with this plan. To use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi.
At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth.
Excuse me.
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me.
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be?
About the verdict.
I know you never committed any murder.
That's right. I'm so glad you understand that. But I really am Master Mask.
Huh?
So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy?
Now that you mention it,
I've been careless.
Careless? What do you think, Mia?
As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. The defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent.
Then, Master Mask is really innocent?
It would seem so, for now.
For now?
now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty.
Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I'm still in Master Mask.
You did it, Phoenix.
Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days.
Oh?
I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days.
You mean about becoming the master of the Korean channeling school?
Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother.
Misty Faye, right?
Watch over her, will you, Phoenix?
Of course.
Well then, see you around.
Mia.
Mr. Wright? I don't know what to say.
Congratulations, Mr. Delight.
Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though. Come on, just be happy already. Maya, you've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything.
Huh? What do you mean?
Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Master Mask. I did it all for one reason. Her.
You mean your wife, Desiree?
She hates criminals more than anything.
Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she?
She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had,
she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure.
So that's why you became Master Mask.
Yes, but it's all over now. Broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick?
Right.
Really? Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it.
My voice is going.
I can. Kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there is always a way to put it back together.
The sacred urn. Desi was the one who found this.
Desiree, your wife. She's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
There you are.
Mr. Light.
You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really Master Mask either. Mr. Light, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast that there's no way he could ever get away.
But didn't you say that you hated criminals?
Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective.
I see.
My Ronnie went and declared his crimes way before he committed them like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi?
Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you?
Nicky boy?
Yes?
I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us.
Oh, well, take care of yourselves.
You too, Nicky boy.
I can feel my face going red.
Mr. Nick! Mystic Maya! Congratulations!
Talk about bad timing.
Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya.
No, you got it wrong.
I'll never forgive you. Never ever.
So, just as the case came to a close, so did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. And I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before.
Yeah, right.
Ah.
Now I get to go rest my voice some.
Anyway, that will be all for now, then. I'll be back tomorrow with next case. So for now,
Bye.